everybody, welcome back to We Are the Batman. I'm Mike.
And this is Matthew.
All right, today we are doing something we have been trying to do for months. Wow, we've been trying to breach this subject for a while. But one of us, being the guy who's currently talking, just couldn't crack the code on his end. So he shelved it until I could come up with something. And I finally did one night, baked off my gourd on the couch watching YouTube. And what we're doing today is we are delving into, well, you read the title, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. We're going to talk about the books. We're going to talk about the movie. And then we're actually going to do our best, not to do a full pitch for a reboot of sorts, but just a soft elevator concept pitch, more or less, of just how we think you could do League of Extraordinary Gentlemen and make it work. Because we both do think, A, it's doable. We live in a day and age where we're coming up on our third Deadpool movie. We've had Moon Knight. We've had season 2 of Invincible. Guardians of the Galaxy is one of the most successful franchises in film history. Like, it's a wild time. So why not? Matt, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing well, man. You know, this is a potentially canned episode, so I don't want to get it too much away because it could be 4 months later, and I'm like, man, why is he crying about that before? He was talking about that other day.
3 weeks later, who knows? or it could be like last time where we said, like, or it could be this week, or it could be like last time where we said, yeah, who knows when you're going to hear that Nightwing episode, and it was the next episode everyone heard, because that was the week that like all hell broke loose in our lives. Yeah, so we're canning this one, but yeah, man, how are you doing at this present moment?
Not too bad. Like, part of what has been causing some issues with our episodes is that I have been having to drive all over the city I live in, doing installs and upgrades for my job.
Yeah.
So I have not been around. On top of that, it's just been, life.
Well,
I have family.
And you're not alone. I mean, man, like, yeah, and you have a family. Ugh, one of those things. Well, and then I've been, my day job has me driving back and forth between Dayton and Cincinnati quite often. And because I have an office in Cincinnati and in Dayton, and I have to go to both for production stuff. And then this is the time of year where comedy starts to pick back up. There's more shows going on. The weather's nicer, so I've been a little booked. And then just life, man.
Yeah. It'll get you.
For those who don't know, at the time we're recording this, a week ago today, Ohio got basically edged with severe weather for 2 days, and then nothing happened. So, and then today is the day of the eclipse. We're recording this at 11:24 a.m. Eastern on April 8th. So the eclipse is happening in a few hours. So it's just, and my power was out for all morning because Dayton got so overrun. So it's guys, we're going through it. April is not messing around. So anyway, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Matt. This is a title that comes up, and people, you get a different reaction from every person you mention it to. Some people are like, "What's that?" Because it has been a while.
Yes.
Some people are like, "Oh God," and some people, like you and me, are like, there's more to that movie than people give it credit for.
Yeah. I'll watch that movie all day. I love.
I never don't want to watch it. I never don't want to watch this movie.
This is
Look at us agreeing on something.
I know, it's very rare. Well, and I was gonna say is like the thing I was thinking about is like, you correct me if I'm wrong. I think we've like you definitely did not read the comic before you saw the movie.
No. The movie was my introduction to this property. It wasn't after I saw the movie that my dad, who was an old school, comic book guy, he's born in the 50s. He was like, well, that's based on a comic book.
Yeah.
And that blew my mind because at that point, this comes out in 2003. Let's see, I was born in 89, so 2003. I am 14. Yeah, I'm an idiot at this point. I don't know any better. I have no idea. Again, this is 2003. The internet is not what it is now. So there weren't comic book stores near us. So yeah, my dad introduced me to a lot of this stuff. But yeah, it was the movie that got me into it.
Well, and I think for me, like I had read the comic. I've discussed several times that Alan Moore is kind of a back and forth on me. There's some of the stuff of his I really like,
Yeah.
and some of his stuff I'm like, no, it's okay. This was one of those like
I think it's
I
another thing we agree on.
yeah, I liked the first comic. The second comic goes completely into no, I'm sorry. The first it's like a 4 or 5 issue mini. It's like a miniseries.
They do them as I think they do them in volumes is what they call
Yeah.
them. Because
So
they
the
because each one, I mean, they released them as issues, but I think they
yes.
where they really sell is as collected books.
Yeah. And I did not like the second one. And I kind of liked the first one. Like it was one of those things where I don't know if you've ever done this where you read something and you're like, there's a there's something here,
Yeah.
but
Well,
this is not it.
that's how that's how we both felt about Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Was like
Yeah.
there's a movie here. Well, I felt that way. I felt that way about the 2016 Ghostbusters, the remake with Melissa McCarthy and them. I was like, there's a good movie in here. I
Yeah.
felt that way about the new one. I didn't really. I liked it Afterlife. I did not like Frozen Empire, but I did think there was like I was like again. There's a good movie in here somewhere.
Yeah.
We didn't quite find it, and like I'll be the first one to admit I think from a generic from an overall general filmmaking point of view, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, not a good movie. From a I want to shove popcorn in my face or when I could eat popcorn and watch this movie on repeat, 1,000% this movie succeeds. And I think the comic book, and I think that's exactly how, from what I've read of the comics, that's how it is. I know volume 2 goes into basically it goes into H.G. Wells' The Day the Earth Stood, or not the War of the Worlds,
Mars
isn't it?
Attacks. Yeah, War of the Worlds. You're right.
World War
Yeah.
Mars Mars Attacks the Timber.
I
And
mean,
then
they both suck. I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I know. Hey, Mars Attacks is a treasure. It's terrible, but it's a treasure. Yeah, I've glossed over volume 1 in the comics. I haven't dealt it's hard to find
It's hard to find because of the weird thing with the comic.
because of it's probably a rights publishing thing as well.
Yeah, it's well, because some of what it is that Jim Lee, back when he had Wildstorm, with under Image's flag, created ABC Comics,
Yeah.
America's Best Comics, and let Alan Moore do his thing. That's where Tom Strong comes from. That's where Top 10 comes from, which is awesome. That's where this comes from. There's Promethea comes from. It was this entire line of comic books. And
And
then
and then
DC, Jim Lee sells Wildstorm to DC. I
yeah,
take it back. I think League of Extraordinary Gentlemen may have been first under. No, it would have all been America's Best. I can't.
yeah.
Point is, there it's under the Wildstorm thing. DC buys Wildstorm. The moment Alan Moore can give them the finger again, he does, and he goes. So League of Extraordinary Gentlemen has
Yeah.
been is his property, but it's been under different things. So half the books are here, half the books are there, and it gets all kinds of convoluted.
Which is probably going to get fixed sooner rather because something I don't think we really talk about is Jim Lee, founder of Wildstorm, now the head of DC Comics.
Yeah,
It's amazing how things get and like full disclosure, like we use the DC Universe comic book app and League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is on there. Unfortunately, it is behind a higher paywall that we currently pay for. So if you guys would like us to help us get over there, by all means, send us cash. My cash app is $ Mr. Mike Shea. Seriously. So that's why I haven't. People are like, why didn't you read it now? It's like I'd love to, but unfortunately, we thought when we paid for the DC Universe Comics app, we'd get access to the whole thing. We were wrong. Anyway,
yep.
So I have, however, glossed over like the Wikipedia plot for Volume 1, just so I could because I wanted to have a better understanding of it. So I got, and I will say this: when they say the movie is loosely based on Volume 1, loosely is an understatement.
Yes.
The story beats and circumstances are similar. The,
Ish.
the characters are mostly different. Not so much different as it is there's just a shitload more of them.
Yeah.
The movie is limited by this is pre-Avengers, pre-Endgame. It's like, hey guys, we can't have 15 leads.
Yeah.
We can't. And then the Russo brothers said, fucking watch us.
Yeah.
But
We'll have 80.
yeah, we'll have 80. But I mean, like obviously Alan Quartermain, Jekyll's in this, Mina Harker's in this, the invisible a different Invisible Man is in this. I think it's the OG. Because I think the reason they changed it for the movie was a rights thing with Universal.
Correct.
Um, Fu Manchu is in this thing. Moriarty's in this thing. James Bond's grandfather, I think, is in this thing.
Ish,
It's
yes.
one of his relatives
Captain
is in
Nemo's in here.
Captain Nemo's in here. Sherlock Holmes and Mycroft are in here. Um, and then there was another one I remember seeing, and now I forget who it was. But so there's a lot of there's a lot of characters. A lot of them are similar, if not the same. And the ones they change out, they get some that are of a similar archetype. You know, they
Yeah.
did the same thing when they do. This was a big criticism I made fun of for David Ayer's Suicide Squad is when you compare the cast of that movie to the character cast of Assault on Arkham, the animated movie. It's almost one for one, and the
Yeah.
ones they swapped out, like they swapped out Killer Frost for El Diablo, they swapped an Ice Elemental for Fire Elemental, you know,
Yeah.
they swapped out KG Beast for Slipknot, they swapped out an already dead uh Russian stereotype for a soon to be dead Native American stereotype. It's like they just one for one a lot of things, and
Yeah.
that's kind of what they did with the comic to the movie for this.
Well, and the thing for me is I listen to the commentaries because I love me some commentaries.
Bro, seriously? And
Yeah.
I think it's because we like podcasts. Everybody I know who likes podcasts likes commentaries.
Well, and back when I was, thought I was a filmmaker, some
Also
of those
that.
commentaries,
Also that.
yeah, they were lessons. Like any of
Yes.
Guillermo de Toro's, like holy crap, he was just teaching you. He does not
Yeah.
stop speaking. He's just teaching you. And if you pay attention, amazing.
I don't give a shit what your thoughts on the Star Wars prequels and sequels are. The commentaries and behind the scenes stuff for the
Oh yeah.
prequels and the sequels are better than any film school degree. Oh my god. Same with the all of Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings movies.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I could watch those behind the scenes thing. I have watched those behind the scenes things constantly. The technology they developed for the Two Towers is incredible. And
Yeah.
so I'm with you. I love that stuff. Please continue your earlier point that I so rudely interrupted.
You're fine. Don't worry. I'm excited. But yeah, so
I love
the
this movie.
the big thing they said about this movie is that they went to Alan Moore asking for things he was working on. So
Yeah.
he sold them a concept. He hadn't even written a comic yet.
Yeah.
So they were like, "Oh, all these old pulp heroes are now on a team," and they ran with it.
What a great idea.
And
What a great
yeah.
idea.
Now, of course, then Alan Moore, I love years later, says that he doesn't want to be associated, doesn't blah blah. And I'm like, bro, you sold them your concept. They didn't follow your book because one, your book is kind of but what they ultimately did was this. Here's the idea. All these old pulp heroes team up together to fight a new villain.
Yeah.
And they just turned it into an action movie.
Yeah.
And in doing so, altered some of the characters to make them look and be an action film,
Yep.
whereas the comic has no action.
Which is kind of where I think the secret in an actual good movie of this lies is finding the happy medium.
Yes.
Because the book, if you're looking for story and character development, this book is chef's kiss. Mwah. But if
Yes.
you're looking for action, this book is a snooze fest.
Yes.
But the movie, if you want just raw action and special effects and explosions, watch the movie. If you want a movie that has an ounce of depth, this movie is not free. This movie is
No.
not deep. The only thing deep about this movie is the water they almost sink into.
Yeah.
Okay. Like the movie is crepe thin. Okay.
Yeah.
So in between the two, where it's a balance of both, is I think where you find yourself with a good movie. Did you see this movie in theaters?
I did, yes.
Oh yeah, me too. This was a dad took the boys to the movies while mom and the sister went shopping.
Yeah.
Saturday kind of movie.
I
We
think
had a lot of those in those early
yes.
2000s crappy comic book special effects movies that my mother and sister wanted nothing to do with. My dad, who was an old school nerd, was like, "All right, boys, you want to go see a movie? We're going to a movie. I'm paying. Let's go."
I wanna say I took I'm trying to remember which girl I was with, but I think if it was one I remember, because this is way before I
It
was
was
married.
Mario, you.
No, I just meant like the girl. I don't want to do dates and math. My point is that if it was who I think it was, she really liked Stuart Townsend because she thought he was hot as hell from the Vampire Lestat.
Oh, in Queen of the Damned.
Yeah,
See, I hadn't seen.
I'm sorry, Queen of Dam.
I hadn't seen Queen. Well, he played the Vampire Lestat. I hadn't
Yeah,
seen Queen of the Damned at this. I didn't see Queen of the Damned till way late. Mostly
gotcha.
because it was rated R and I was a child when it came out. So it's like, you didn't see that when it came out in theaters? I was 6.
Yeah,
There's a when people tell me there's like, you haven't seen Enter rated R movie from the
yeah,
90s here. I'm like, I was a child.
yeah.
Sorry.
That's not how that works.
Yeah. The only one, like, I'm lucky. The only reason I saw the Maze because my mom forgot it was rated, or even Mission Impossible is because my mom forgot it was rated R
Nice.
until Emilio Estevez gets his face smushed in an elevator shaft, and she was like, "Oh, that's right," and I was traumatized. Uh, yeah, no, this was a Saturday morning. Dad and brothers go to the movies.
Yeah.
Day trip for us, and then we bought it on DVD, and we watched this DVD.
Oh yeah,
It's yeah.
I enjoyed the movie. Like that was my thing. Is like I did
Yeah,
not particularly care for the comic, but I enjoyed the movie. But this is like I think the big thing that a lot of people got upset about
yeah.
is that they put Tom Sawyer in the movie. He
Which
was not in the book, if
no,
memory serves
I
correctly.
think he was meant to be when I was talking about doing one for one replacements. I think he was meant to be a one for one for James Bond's grandpa. They wanted an international spy.
They wanted an American character.
Well, they also wanted an American character.
Yeah,
And they knew that if they did a James Bond ancestor, they'd be like, well, why don't you just do James Bond? Which, why don't you just do James Bond?
yeah,
But I get it's a timeline thing, but fuck it. James Bond's been around for 70 years. Who cares?
yeah,
Um, we're about to do another James Bond prequel. Who cares?
yeah,
So I get why they put him in there. And I actually think, like, look, if you're gonna put an American literary character in there, from an on paper story perspective, especially when you read like about the deleted scenes where you find out that like he got into this because the Phantom killed his partner and his partner was Huck Finn.
yeah,
It's like, oh, that's so good. Oh, that's such a smart way of doing that. It's just poorly executed.
yeah. It's like there's I like you're saying it's a popcorn movie, and
Yeah.
I'll watch this. I've never gone back and reread the books because
Oh,
they were.
really?
I think I read the first one. I want to say I collected the comics for the first 3 issues, and then was like, no, I don't like this. And
Yeah.
then when it was collected into a volume, I read the volume and was like, okay, that wasn't bad. And then the second one came out, and I read that, and I was like, what
Yeah.
happened to this show or to this book?
I
Um,
I honestly wonder now that I'm thinking about it because it's Shane West that plays Sawyer, right?
yes, he plays Sawyer.
Okay, this is 2003. Shane West, like, they're kind of banking on him to be like the next Leo DiCaprio at this point.
He's an up and coming.
He is because at this point he's done. I'm going back really far in my brain. At this point, he's done Dracula 2000,
Walk to Remember.
Walk to Remember, Ocean's 11. Remember he plays himself in that poker game in Ocean's 11.
Is that him?
That he's in that with what's
Oh,
his
you're right.
nuts
Yes, 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 yes.
with Toby. He's in there with Toby. He's in that game with
Topher.
Brad Pitt. Topher. I always do that. I always do that. But yeah, so at this point, like, everyone's banking on him to be like the next Leo, and then he just never really. Part of it's because he's an okay actor.
Yeah. Yeah, let's
He's
be
fine.
real.
He's good. He's good in A Walk to Remember, and I'm not just saying that because I'm friends with the guy who's in that movie. But it's a weird brag, Mike. What the hell? Um, but yeah, I think that was the thing is they were really just trying to put him in stuff,
Yeah.
and I wonder if they were like, hey Shane, we're gonna have you play James Bond in this movie. Try a British accent. Hey Shane, we're gonna have you play Tom Sawyer. Do an American accent.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do this instead.
You know what? We tried it, didn't like it.
But no, like
Oh,
some
and he's also on ER at this point. I forgot about that.
okay.
He's
So
on
like
ER.
there's some of the stuff they do in the movie that I really was like, dude, Captain Nemo being martial arts badass with a scimitar.
Super into it.
badass. I want
Oh
that
yeah.
movie, that standalone film.
Oh yeah. Action pirate Captain Nemo. Give it to me yesterday. I they there was a movie of that in production up until about a couple of years ago, and then it finally got nixed
Yeah, that
when
would
the
have been great.
pandemic hit. Yeah.
Yeah. That would have been great. But like
All to
some
say
of the
about
stuff here is the whole Mina Harker is a full-on vampire. I don't know about that because that's not in.
yeah, that was I wasn't I lo- don't get me wrong, I loved their take on the vampire. I loved the idea of that kind of vampire being a part of the league. I don't know about Mina being a vampire though, because I
Yeah,
think part of what makes Mina a good character is the fact that she's just human. I don't know, but
yeah.
that's another conversation. But I actually, other than with the exception of just the design, I quite enjoyed the Jekyll Hyde stuff in the movie.
I thought it was cool. Like for what, because remember, this is right before you can start doing really realized CGI full on characters, and it doesn't
It,
quadruple your budget.
well, remember this is 2003. This is
Yeah,
the same year as Ang Lee's Hulk
yeah,
with Eric Bana.
yeah.
We can have a debate on which one looks better, this or Mr. Hyde, but that's another conversation for another show. They're both pretty trash. But I
Well,
think honestly, if you ask me to choose which one had the better Jekyll and Hyde story, I'm going with Jekyll and Hyde in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Later surpassed by other Hulks.
yes.
But between the two basically Jekyll and Hyde stories we have in 2003, League does it better.
And I like I'm a fan of like if you can try and make it work and what is that called? Um in camera,
Yeah,
it's kind of weird looking, but I thought like at the same time Hyde's weird looking. Like he looks like that in the comic, this weird kind of
yeah.
ape look. So
I think Van Helsing did it slightly better, even if the CGI wasn't that good. I think
yeah,
the
I mean
design was more, yeah, I want him to be kind of ape-like, not whatever PS2 video game villain that was supposed to be. And then don't even get me started on the super one at the end. That was I'm
this is
not gonna
trash.
lie, that movie, that part sucks. There was
Yeah.
other things you could have done. But I love all I also I will say any movie that has a character arguing with a different version of themselves in their own reflection gets bonus points for me. That I am such a sucker for that. I really don't know why. I guess I love the cerebral esqueness of it.
Yeah.
So anytime I have that in a movie, I'm like, God, you suckered me in. It's like when you make me laugh. If you can make me laugh, you've already got
Yeah.
me like a third of the way in.
Or
So,
when he can hear the noise on the record.
oh
It's like, "It
yes.
hurts. Can you hear it? I can hear it. It hurts." He's like,
Oh
"What are you
man,
talking about?"
that's so good. Although I will say that scene is stupid, where they just
Yeah.
left the recording for them explaining the whole plan. I'm like, this is dumb.
Yeah.
This is dumb. Uh, but I did
Growl.
like that, like, yeah, the idea of Hyde being able to hear the tone that was going to trigger I was like, that's clever.
Yeah.
That part's clever. Like I said, there's a lot of again, I will not say it's a good movie, but I will say it's a fun, clever movie.
It's yeah. It's sometimes movies don't have to be Oscar worthy. Sometimes they
Yeah.
don't have to be great. Sometimes they can just be fun. And this movie's fun, unlike the comic, which is kind of blah. And
The comic is a fascinating read. It really is. It's like it is Alan Moore.
Alan Mooring as much as
this is
possible.
the most Alan Moore that Alan Moore has ever Alan Moored. Um, and there are times where it's very much the same as like whenever Burton goes full Burton, it's like rein it in a little bit. Or like when Cage goes full Cage, it's like, oh, you're here for it, but
Yeah.
also stop. So yeah, I will say, I know people make fun of the fact that this was Connery's last movie, and I know it's kind of the reason. I know the fact that it bombed is why he retired. And I know people have mixed feelings about Connery, but whatever, man. His last movie, he still got to be the OG action hero. I mean, Alan Quartermain was like the OG adventurer action hero from classic literature.
Indiana Jones is based on Alan Quartermain.
Exactly, like Nate, if you're a fan of the Uncharted games, like you have Alan Quartermain to thank for that,
Yeah.
So the fact that Sean Connery, like whether or not people received it well, I just think it's great that like he got to go out as this guy played James Bond and Alan Quartermain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the father of Indiana Jones and King Arthur. Like,
Yeah.
and I know, and so
And
again,
Agamemnon.
and
And
yeah. So again, like I know people like to rag on the fact that this movie, quote unquote, ended Sean Connery's career, but like I don't know, somebody who likes this movie, I think it was a pretty dope one to go out on. He just made a fun movie that I enjoy the hell out of, playing a really cool character.
yeah, I don't like I personally don't think I don't think it was the quality of the movie that tanked it. I think it's that nobody had any idea what it was.
Yeah, that didn't help.
Like you know, there were Alan
I think
Quartermain.
Van Helsing did better than this.
Yeah. Well, Hugh Jackman's on the rise. It has a big
Exactly.
star. But no, I think
The biggest star in League is Sean Connery and maybe Shane West.
yeah,
You
and
know what I mean?
they're not exactly
Maybe Stuart Townsend.
yeah, they're nobody in this movie like they're all knownish, but
Yeah.
they're not like on the rise. They're not big-ish per se. And again, like you get into that thing of like, I mean, I don't know if you want to look at it. I don't know when
Oh yeah.
the movie that he did.
Van Helsing made 30 million more than this movie.
Yeah, let's see. What Sean Connery? Like what movie had he done before this? That's what I was because this is when he's not working and not
Who's
like
Sean
he
Connery?
couldn't get work, but I meant like
Well, I mean, this was towards the end because at this point he's doing like that. Remember that movie, the Avengers with Ray Fiennes and Uma Thurman?
yeah,
He did that, I think, right before this. Um,
yeah, like so 3 years before this he did Finding Forrester.
yeah,
A year before that Entrapment. Like he's doing kind of a movie a year, but
yeah.
he had not been in a film in a while.
Yeah, I think Finding Forrester is the last truly like really great movie he does. I'll say good movie that he does. Prior to that, it's The Rock,
Yeah.
and even that's just a fun action movie directed by Michael Bay. So
Yeah. And my point more is that I think like he passed what was it? The rumor is he passed on Matrix because he didn't understand it. He passed on
yep,
Lord of the Rings because he didn't understand it.
yep.
So when this finally came up, he was like, "All right, fine, let me try this and see what happens."
Yeah. Oh,
It,
you mean I could just go read a couple of books about this and I'm on board? Cool.
yeah, and then he goes, "Oh wait, it just didn't work. I don't want to do this anymore."
Yeah,
And I totally understand it. But I think that that's the thing is like when you say League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, it's a bunch of pulp heroes. Nobody in America knows who pulp heroes are.
yeah.
They
But
just
I feel like nowadays in 2024, and this is kind of my way of segueing us into pitching something to do for present day, is nowadays there is a much bigger because of streaming, because of
yep,
the advent of streaming, which is why I think this movie was a little bit ahead of its time. People have a more of an appreciation for niche stuff like this.
yes,
And also now it's got a nostalgic factor, which people get rock hard for these days. So I'm sorry. I know that's blue, but like seriously, y'all, I don't need a Crow remake. Nobody
oh
really don't.
God, that movie looks like shit.
A movie doesn't look bad. I just don't care. Anyway, we'll talk about it when it comes out.
No, we won't.
So with Leave Your Gentlemen, I think kind of like what you're talking about earlier is it's just yeah, there's a more of a niche, there's more of a niche audience for these kind of nostalgic things, these classic things, these reinventing old classics, and also there's just an appreciation for stuff nowadays that's just fun. You know,
Yeah.
people are more willing to give stuff a shot if it's just fun, if it's something that just they can just sit back and enjoy. I think as much as we appreciate things like TikTok and Reels for their short, easy to digestibility kind of thing, we also appreciate things like Invincible, which can take its time for an hour an episode every week and just tell a truly. Season two, the season two finale of Invincible. I won't spoil it, but I will just say like having not read those comics yet and hearing some of the things that were set up for in season 2, your boy ain't ready. I was like I was shaking by the end of the season 2 finale. I was so emotional, man. Like woof. So like people are and again, Invincible, a property that had an audience but not a big one. And Amazon, I mean, it had an audience. It had an audience. But you can't sit here and say that Invincible was a well-known comic book
No.
property.
Invincible, I think, gets its initial jump because of Robert Kirkman.
Well, with his name being attached to it,
Yeah.
it's once The Walking Dead had taken off like wildfire, Kirkman had carte blanche to do whatever he wanted.
Yeah.
And when it was during the pandemic and people were clamoring for comic book properties and stuff to watch, an animated series is super easy. Here's this thing, it won't cost a lot of money. Slight spoiler for season 2, but it's also in the comics. We know that they know how to cut corners with animation and drawing and stuff. They spend an entire chunk of an episode walking us through it, and I don't think I've laughed that hard since the first Deadpool movie.
Yeah, especially when it's literally a drawing done by Ryan Ottley.
I I almost peed. I'm so glad my bathroom is 5 feet from my couch. I almost peed. So I think there is an audience for this kind of thing now, and I think and if there's not there, you could grow one. This could be the next Invincible if you were to do this now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I personally think there's 2 different ways you could make this work in present day.
Okay.
What do you have? Because I've talked a lot so far. So what have you got as far as
I
how do you
mean,
think you can make this work in present day?
I think I'm probably going towards what you were talking about because this is what I've been thinking of for a while is make it animated. I
Yeah, that
think
was one of mine was do it
yeah.
animated.
I think the level of because there is even in the comic, even though there's not a lot of action, it is heavily violent.
Do
When
you do,
things happen, it's violent as all get out.
do you do a movie or do you do a series?
I would do a series. So
Yeah.
what I would do is now I know you're not the biggest manga fan, but
Nope.
did you ever at least watch Cowboy Bebop?
Nope. Nope.
Okay.
I've
So
seen I saw the previews for it when I was watching Toonami. So I knew when it came on, so I knew when to turn to something else.
okay.
By the way, we didn't talk about this. But and Matt, you're gonna have to help me here. But the creator of Dragon Ball Z, of Dragon Ball passing away, like seriously, what a how tragic. Like I'm not
Yes.
a fan, but
Neither am I.
I'm not a I was briefly like most middle school boys in the 90s, but but I'm not gonna deny like the impact that dude had on pop
Yeah.
culture, on nerddom, on anime, on an entire freaking industry, on an entire generation of people. Please look his name up because I feel
I
so
am.
bad now that I'm blanking on it. Because I didn't we did not talk about it because at the time that he passed was when we had year 1 going on, and then I was out. I was busy.
Akira Toriyama.
Thank you.
Toriyama.
So I don't think he did anything DC related at all at any
Nah,
point. So
doubtful.
I would be shocked. But I'm sure there are plenty of people who are listening to this show who were fans of DBZ, or any iteration of Dragon Ball who felt some hurt in his passing, the same way we did when we lost, when we lost Kevin Conroy, or
Yeah.
when we, or Arlene Sorkin. So, but but yeah, back to your original point about the anime thing. I'm sorry that maybe that brought me to that, and I was like, oh, I feel bad we didn't say anything.
No, it is. There's been a couple of those creators that have passed. It's like a little fringe of what we do here, but
Yeah,
when you're like, you're right. How much influence that guy had, as much as I may not like Dragon Ball Z, at the same time, I cannot dispute its cultural impact through the 90s and today.
yeah.
So definitely
Well,
a
I mean,
lot.
there's definitely an anime influence in things like Batman Beyond, and
Yeah.
a lot of that is because of the popularity garnered by Dragon Ball. So
Yeah. So what I would do, so Cowboy Bebop does this really cool thing where it has a through story that's episodic. It's 26 episodes, that's it, and a movie. And every so often there's an episode where the character deals with something and then you get into the background of the character.
yeah,
I think that's what you should do here.
okay,
Open up the first story arc, the first 2 or 3 episodes of them dealing with a thing, and then have their adventures keep going, and every time they do like an adventure, this adventure may link to their past, and then we get that flashback of their past.
Yeah. We CW this shit.
Yeah.
We Arrowverse this shit. We do what the Eternals should have done. You slap on, you throw on Disney Plus, and
Yeah.
every episode is about a different character's backstory and flashbacks while also getting the main story.
Yeah. And I think that would be a nice, like, I think with animation, especially given what you see with Invincible, see
Yeah.
what you see with some of these other series, is like you can get an intensity there, you can get the violence down, but I would also do a happy medium between the two. Like I said, like Karate Nemo, that needs to be a thing. That was amazing.
Yes. Oh
Um,
yes. That's why Invincible left in Rexplosion. Is he the worst in the first season? Yeah.
yeah,
But we also leave him in because then he could be the one that takes out the Lizard League.
yeah, but with some craziness. But no, and
Bro.
I, yeah, but I think that's the thing is I think it's got to whatever you do has got to be a different kind of hook, and I think we've already too much seen the realistic live action superhero thing that's ultra violent.
And we love those, but we got enough of those.
Yeah.
Let's see some other stuff.
So I think that would be something interesting. And I think, like, do I think you need to bring in Tom Sawyer as a team member? No. Do I think one of the story arcs could be Tom Sawyer coming in and help working with them to do whatever they do? I think that would be fine. Like, I have no problem with that. Could you easily bring in other characters? Does Dorian Gray have to be in the book? Dorian Gray's not in the comic. He's talked about, but he's not in the comic, and he's not a villain that I recall. But I also only read the first two miniseries. I never read beyond that because I was done.
Dorian Gray, I don't believe is even in volume 1. I don't think he's in the comics at all.
He's mentioned because they talk
Yeah.
about the portrait.
Yeah.
But
I mean that you could, but you could, there, well, I will say this, both the movie and the OG comic book, I will I will give new rock stars on YouTube every dime of money that I have to do an Easter egg gauntlet on that movie and those comics, because the Easter eggs in the background and in the dialogue and in the deleted things and all that is so vast, it's
yeah,
almost overwhelming. I know I keep making Invincible references, but if you tried to ingest all the Easter eggs, your brain would turn into Angstrom Levy's. Like, it would just overgrow out the side back of your head. It's so many. It's
oh,
so many.
you still haven't read top 10, have you?
No, I haven't, and I'm sure it's even more.
Yeah, top 10 is the top tier of like this single splash page panel has 80 references, and I think I got 80, like half of them.
Oh, I know. Oh man, I've looked at some panels and just had my eyes crossed because I'm like, brain overload, too many nuggets.
Yes. Yeah. But no, I think that would be the thing is I think you do a solid animated, maybe do like Cowboy Bebop. You do like, here's 10 episodes.
Mhm.
Don't do a big long series. Don't try and make it serious. If it only works for 10 and then you never do another one again, I think that's fine. But I think that would be something that would have you could have a lot of fun with. You could concentrate on different characters and different storylines. And if you want to go more along the lines of what the art looks like, you can do that in animation. Because again, the whole Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing is a little out of control,
Yeah.
especially depending on how accurate you want to be with what happens in the comics later. Because, but I think I think that would be the best way to go. Because yeah, I mean, we're getting to the point now where every single actor that's out there now has been at least two superheroes minimum because of all the different things that we're doing. Like I can't even imagine,
or a version of a character that would be in this.
yeah, because I can't even like. There's part of me that I'm like, dude, they're rebooting DC, which means technically everybody in the original in the DCEU is on the table to play another character, plus whoever's been in the MCU.
James Gunn has said as much. James Gunn has straight up said, he's like, yeah, actors will come back as different characters.
Yeah,
he has said that since day one. He's like, some people will come back as the same person. Some people won't come back at all. Some people will come back as someone totally different. I mean, look, we've all been saying Momoa could play Lobo for years.
yeah.
Momoa has been saying Momoa could play Lobo for years.
Look, you teach Gal Gadot to act, put her and Andrew Garfield
You
together.
stop. You stop.
I'm saying, you teach her to act, get her with Andrew
Stop
Garfield, give me
it.
the Mr. Miracles movie. You know, let her be a
Oh,
big Barda.
take my money now.
Yeah,
Gal Gadot as Barda with Garfield as Miracle.
yeah,
Give me the money now. Take the money now. No, I'm
yeah,
in. I'm
yeah.
in. I will be an investor. I'm so in. Oh my God. Oh, that's yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. God. Oh, that's gonna get me through the rest of the day. And I hope it does for you people listening at home. I hope that
Yeah.
gets you through the day as well.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
man.
so what's yours? What's yours? What you got? Because that's pretty much what I
I
had.
actually
Like
I actually
I
I actually
didn't
just
cast
thought
anybody.
I'm glad that we had one to share because I said I had to, and I actually still have to now because I something came to me a minute ago. So first of all, I think that I think you're right. I think an animated streaming series is the way to go. I honestly, again, I think you give this the Invincible treatment.
Yeah.
I think honestly, whoever the team is that's doing Invincible, just give them this. Boom, you're done. I mean, except it wouldn't be on Prime because this is a DC property, so it would be on Max. Um, maybe, and who knows? Maybe when we finally see a trailer for Creature Commandos, at this point we're guessing Comic-Con, maybe we can say, hey, give it to that team because maybe I don't know, who knows? But basically do for Invincible what you did for this.
Yeah.
Now, if you did want to do this in a single movie, I do think there's a way to do it. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to relate this back to what I said at the beginning, which is that I had the idea to do this episode finally after months. And I do mean months, almost a year, honestly.
Yeah.
Um, of me going, oh, that's how you do League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. And it also relates to Henry Cavill
Okay.
because Henry Cavill, at the time we're recording this in 11 days, has a movie coming out called The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare,
Yes.
directed by Guy Ritchie. It looks dope. It's a doesn't take itself too seriously action comedy with some big names and lots of explosions. Yeah, do that.
Yeah.
Just do that. Just do that. And put Henry Cavill in it for all I care. You just keep giving him work. I don't care. But do that. Put Florence Pugh in it as Mina Harker.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. You put her in as Mina Harker. Have Guy Ritchie direct it. Because why wouldn't you? Because why
Yeah.
wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? So and you can throw in I don't know, throw in somebody to be James Bond. You know, who's a fan casting you want to be? Throw in Idris Elba as James Bond. There we go. We did it.
God.
You want him to be James Bond? He can be it in one movie. There you go. Or you could this just came to me. Oh, this just came to me. If we're throwing Henry Cavill in this thing, we have this be a spin-off of Enola Holmes on Netflix and just have Henry Cavill play Sherlock Holmes. And then you can bring in Millie to play Enola Holmes. And I did it, Matt. I did it, Matt. Now the one that I thought of a little bit ago was actually, or you have Warner Brothers do this, you still have Guy Ritchie do it, and then in the post-credit scene, Robert Downey Jr. shows up as Sherlock Holmes, and it's a tie-in to the Guy Ritchie Sherlock Holmes movies. Tell me you're not excited.
I mean, I'm in. I have a crazy pitch on this whole thing for you. Even though I think he's borderline too young,
Uh-huh.
can we make Carrie Ellis old enough to be Alan Quartermain?
1,000%. Look, if we can make him seem old enough to be the head of this organization that Henry Cavill's in the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, 1,000% we can. Are you kidding? No. What do you mean? Can we do it? We make Ryan Reynolds look like Deadpool. Okay,
I bet it's true.
We Colin Farrell look like the Penguin. We can make Carrie Elwes look like Alan Quartermain.
Okay, then I want Carrie Ellis as Alan Quartermain. That's all I'm saying.
Super into that.
And just because we're going
or if this is fantasy drafting, if Billy Connolly was in better shape, I'd say give it to him. But he's
yeah.
Not,
and then we're gonna bring in Ram Charan to be Captain Nemo, the guy from RRR that I keep trying to get you to watch that movie.
I know. I will watch it one of these days.
He's gonna be Captain Nemo. That's all I'm saying right now.
I'm into it. No, I'm into it. Him or Dev Patel. Love me some Dev Patel.
I mean, that's very true. I haven't watched Monkey Man.
I haven't seen it yet. I was going to go see it this weekend. I was busy.
Yeah,
Couldn't go see it, but so I'm
trust
planning
me.
on it.
Watch RRR, and you'll be like, no,
Yeah.
that's Nemo. Perfect.
Yeah, I say we get Florence Pugh in there as Mina Harker. I say we throw in screw it. We're throwing in Millie as Enola Holmes and Henry Cavill as Sherlock Holmes. I don't care. We're doing it.
That's why not.
And I don't know who else we throw in there. Who do we get to play Robin Hood? I want to get Robin Hood in there. No, that's dumb.
way beyond.
That's
You want to
dumb.
hear? Here, I got an interesting tidbit about this whole thing. Have you ever seen the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen 1986 drawing?
No, I have not.
It is this thing. It started a trend after it came out.
Okay.
I'm sending you the link right now. Do you want it through Facebook or through the chat room?
Just show me on the window here. It's fine.
No,
You're sending me a link. I thought you okay. Yeah, send me the link. Yeah, send it to me on Facebook. It's fine.
Okay. So this is wait. Whoop, nope, that'd have been the wrong. Boom. All right. So you got to look at it. Did I send it right?
Yeah, I got it. Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's a so for those, for those who don't know what I'm looking at here, it says League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, America, 1988. In the front, we've got Doc Brown. Beside him, we've got Mr. T. We've got Patrick Swayze from Roadhouse.
No. That's Jack Burton from Big Trouble in Little China.
It looks.
No, I mean, I can see what you mean, but yes, no, it's Jack Burton.
No way. There's no way that's not Patrick Swayze from Roadhouse.
That's Jack Burton. He's wearing the same outfit.
I know he's wearing the same shirt, but the artist was watching the wrong thing when he drew this.
That's Kurt
That
Russell.
is 1,000% no. But anyway, and then on the other side of Doc Brown, we've got what I'm assuming is MacGyver.
That's MacGyver, and then the girl from Weird Science whose name escapes me.
Yeah, but and then in the back on the paintings, we've got looks like Pam Anderson. No, that's
this is in the background is the 70s version. So you've got Shaft, the chick from
I know that picture.
Charlie's Angels.
Yes, Farrah Fawcett.
Serpico, the Bandit, Rocky, and the bottom right is Steve Austin, the $1 Million Man.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I had to ask what that one was. So this drawing is a guy I went to college with.
Oh, that's cool.
Currently calling himself Rusty Shackles. He and I worked a lot together during that time. And it's always funny because I remember when this came out and then it like broke wide and then people started doing this all over the place.
We'll post the link to this picture on the Facebook page and down in the description of this so you guys can see it for yourselves. This is cool.
Yeah,
this is good. But seriously, he needs to look at that and tell me 1,000% that that's not.
It's not, dude. Go watch Big Trouble in Little China.
I've seen Big Trouble in Little China. That is dude in Roadhouse.
That is not. Sometimes my little brother.
Anyway.
But I think you're right.
But yeah, if we just like 2020s action comedy this thing with Guy Ritchie and just go balls to the wall with it. Oh, this will make so much money. Oh, this would make so much money. This would and if you want to really have if you want to do Alan Moore justice, give it the Invincible treatment.
Yeah.
But if you want to just put out a fun summer blockbuster, give it to Guy Ritchie.
Yeah. No, I got you.
But no matter what, don't give up on League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. And if you haven't watched this movie in a while, please go back and give it another look. See, I don't know where it's at right now. Streaming wise, I have it on DVD because I'm an OG. I had
it on DVD, but I currently do not have a DVD player because the PS4 we have exploded.
I have a PS4, so that's what I use.
No, our PS4 exploded.
So it is currently available on it's on Hulu. You can watch it on Hulu. There you go. And you can rent it on all the usual places. But yeah, you can watch it on Hulu. So there you go. Yeah, treat yourself. Whatever day this happens, whatever Friday this happens to fall on, whether it's a special one or not. Probably not. Actually, there's a good chance it might be because if we need to use this episode, that means it's probably a holiday and we're off. So treat yourself and watch the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Check out the commentary, check out the behind the scenes stuff. You might surprise yourself I love this movie. I'll never stop loving this movie. You can't make me not love this movie. This movie rules.
Yes,
Please make a new one. Please make a new one. Please make a new one. Please, please, please. I already bought my ticket. I already bought several tickets. I already bought the Blu-ray. I'm already watching it on streaming. Give it to me now.
agreed.
All right, guys, let us know what you think of The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. If you're listening or watching this on YouTube, leave it in the comments. If you're on Good Pods, let us know when you rate the episode. Let us know wherever you're listening. You can even hit us up on social media. Find me on social media at Mr. Mike Shea.
Find me on Twitter at Mr. J Ninja.
That is going to do it for this week. We are the Batmans. We'll see you guys again next time. Same bat time, same bat podcast channel.
Bye-bye.